Welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. Ready to unpack another complex topic?
Always.
All right, well, today we're diving into the world of feline emotions.
Okay.
Specifically, whether or not cats actually experience grief.
Interesting.
You know, you guys send in some fascinating research articles on this. And let me tell you, some of the findings are pretty surprising.
I bet. It is fascinating how we think of cats as these super independent creatures, almost detached.
Right.
But a recent study from Oakland University actually challenges this whole aloof stereotype.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, and this study was even published in Applied Animal Behavior Science for those who want to dive deeper.
Oh, very cool. So
Yeah.
no tiny cat tissues involved.
Uh-huh.
But what did the researchers actually observe?
Well, they observed a whole bunch of behaviors in cats who had lost another animal
Okay.
that strongly suggest they were grieving.
Like what kind of behavior?
Well, not just subtle changes either.
Yeah.
The study found that cats actually showed noticeable changes in their eating habits, how they slept, and even their vocalizations.
You know, I've always wondered
Yeah?
if my cat sleeps more when I'm stressed. Is there any connection there?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
And it ties into one of the most surprising findings in the research.
Okay.
Basically, cats might actually mirror their owner's emotions.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, it suggests a much deeper connection between how humans and cats respond to emotions.
So if I'm like down in the dumps, my cat might pick up on that and like start acting differently too.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they might get more clingy, want more attention.
Okay.
Even change how much they're eating or sleeping.
Huh.
Like mirroring us. Makes you think about how much they actually feel, you know?
It really does. So this study, this wasn't just like a handful of anecdotes, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
The Oakland University study surveyed 412 cat owners.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It gives a lot of weight to these findings.
412 grieving kitties. That's a lot of heartbroken meows.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I'm guessing, though,
Yeah.
not every cat grieves the same way.
You're totally right.
Right.
Just like some cats grieve more intensely than others.
So what causes that? Is it their personality?
Well, personality is definitely part of it,
Okay.
but
good.
the researchers actually found some key factors
Like what?
that really stood out. The amount of time a cat spent with the pet they lost,
Okay.
what their relationship was like, and how long they lived together.
Oh, okay.
Those all contribute to how intensely they might grieve.
So like a cat that was always playing with their companion, always cuddling with them, might feel a much bigger loss.
Exactly. Think about it. Two cats living together for years, sharing everything. Naps, playtime, the works.
Yeah.
Losing one of them would leave a huge hole.
Oh, yeah.
More than a cat who just kind of lived with another pet, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, why?
It really shows how strong their bonds can be.
It really does.
And I guess that means we need to be extra supportive when our furry friends are going through that kind of loss.
Oh, absolutely. If we recognize these signs of grief, we can better support them.
So what are some things we can do?
Okay.
Like, should we just shower them with treats and cuddles? Is that enough?
Well, affection is definitely important.
Okay.
Giving them extra attention and reassurance can really help them feel safe and secure.
Okay, yeah.
But there are other things you can do too.
Hmm.
Like keeping their routine consistent is super important.
Ah, okay.
Cats love predictability.
Yeah.
So keeping their feeding times, playtime, all those daily interactions the same can really help them feel stable during tough times.
Even if we're feeling out of sorts ourselves, it's important to keep things normal for them.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about being that safe and predictable space for them,
Gotcha.
even when their world feels upside down.
That's really helpful advice.
Oh,
Is there anything else we can do to help them cope?
absolutely. Introducing new forms of enrichment can be really good.
What does that mean for a cat?
Like puzzle feeders
Okay.
that challenge their minds, new toys,
Yeah.
or even just making a special spot for them to relax and de-stress.
So like catnip-filled toys.
Exactly.
Interactive games. Maybe even a calming spray.
Yeah, anything that engages their senses,
Okay.
stimulates their mind, and keeps them focused on something positive.
So basically redirect their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But what about all that stuff that belonged to their pet that passed away?
Oh, yeah.
Should we keep it out? Should we put it away? I feel like I've heard different things.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's no right answer because every cat is different.
Okay.
Some cats might find it comforting to have familiar smells and objects around,
Yeah.
while others might find it upsetting. The key is to really watch your cat
Oh, okay.
and pay attention to how they're reacting.
So we got to be like detectives,
Uh-huh.
looking for clues,
Exactly.
and then adjust based on that.
Exactly.
This is really insightful. It seems like we often underestimate just how much our cats are feeling.
We really do.
Yeah.
And as we keep learning about all of this, we might even learn something about how we empathize and understand others.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've covered how cats grieve.
Uh-huh.
But what about other feelings? Like, do cats get jealous the same way we do?
That's a great question, and one we're going to explore in more detail right after a quick break. Stay tuned.
So we were talking about jealousy in cats.
Right. You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's often labeled as jealousy, and while we can't really say for sure if they experience it the same way we do,
Right.
they definitely act in ways that suggest they feel possessive or territorial.
So it's less about feeling envious and more about protecting their stuff.
Exactly. Think about it from their point of view.
Okay.
They're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
Their world revolves around things like food, attention, and having their safe spaces.
Right.
And anything that seems like a threat to those things can trigger those behaviors we see as jealousy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, my cat gets super jealous when I'm paying attention to my dog.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's saying, hey, those head scratches are mine.
Haha, classic example.
Right.
And it's important to remember those behaviors often come from insecurity,
Okay.
not because they're being mean.
So how should we handle those situations?
Yeah.
Should we ignore it?
Ignoring it completely might not be the best idea.
Okay.
It could actually make things worse.
Oh.
They might start acting out even more,
Oh.
or even get aggressive.
Gotcha.
Instead, try redirecting their attention
Okay.
and using positive reinforcement. Give them treats, play with them,
Okay.
or just give them extra love when they're being calm.
So we're rewarding the good behavior
Exactly.
and redirecting the bad.
Exactly. You want them to associate good things
Yeah.
with acting the way we want.
So like if my cat starts hissing at my dog, I should distract her with a toy.
Exactly. Or a special treat.
And over time, she'll learn that being calm gets her good stuff.
Exactly.
I bet keeping a consistent routine, like we talked about earlier, helps with these jealous outbursts, too.
Absolutely. A predictable environment goes a long way in reducing their anxiety. When they know when they'll be fed, when it's playtime, when they'll get attention from you,
Yeah.
they're less likely to feel threatened by other pets or even visitors.
So it's all about making them feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
Showing them they're loved, even when there are other creatures around.
Exactly. It's about creating a peaceful home for everyone.
Speaking of understanding their needs, let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Their capacity for joy.
Right. Our cats bring us so much happiness.
They really do.
It's important to recognize those joyful moments
and
appreciate how content they can be.
Like those slow blinks and head bunts.
Exactly. Those are classic signs of a happy kitty.
Totally.
But there are other more subtle cues, too.
Okay, like what?
Pay attention to their posture.
Okay.
A relaxed, confident cat will have loose and fluid body language. They'll be curious, playful, and their tail will often be held high with a little curve at the end. Cute, right?
Yeah.
And a happy cat is usually a healthy cat, too.
Oh,
They'll eat well, groom themselves regularly, and use their litter box without any problems.
So we're looking for bright eyes,
Yes.
a shiny coat,
Uh-huh.
and a playful personality.
Exactly. All signs of a thriving cat.
Now that we've talked about all this,
Yeah.
how do we actually interact with our cats differently? Knowing what we know now about how they feel,
Good question.
what can we do to strengthen our bond with them and
Yeah.
make sure they feel loved and safe?
That's the heart of being a good cat owner.
Right.
It's about understanding that they're not just furry roommates.
Yeah.
They're living beings with real feelings.
It's about being more aware of their needs and how they communicate.
Exactly.
So instead of assuming they're aloof and independent, we should approach them knowing they want connection and security too.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Okay.
It's the little things that matter. Gentle strokes, playing with them, just spending quiet time together.
Oh, yeah.
It's about paying attention to their body language, respecting their boundaries, and responding to their needs in a way that makes them feel safe and loved.
Building a relationship based on trust and understanding.
Exactly.
Realizing that they have a lot to teach us about empathy and just being present.
Beautifully said.
And it's in those little moments that our bond with them really grows.
You got it.
So we've covered a lot today about all sorts of feelings cats have. Grief, jealousy, joy, contentment.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is. And by understanding them better, we can create a much better relationship with our feline friends.
For sure. It's all about learning and growing together.
And who knows? Maybe we'll even learn a little something about ourselves along the way.
I think we will.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah. We've been talking about all these complex cat emotions. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if we're not just projecting our own human experiences onto them.
That's a great point.
Like, we say they're jealous or grieving.
Right.
But are we really seeing those emotions? Mm. Or are we just interpreting their behavior based on what we know?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
And it's something researchers are always thinking about.
So how do we balance that tendency to see them as little humans with a more accurate understanding of how they actually behave?
We have to remember that even though cats have some of the same basic emotions as us,
how they experience and express those emotions is probably very different.
Exactly.
So it's about finding that middle ground.
Yeah.
Recognizing the similarities without projecting too much of ourselves onto them.
I like that.
So instead of saying, my cat is jealous, maybe we say, my cat is acting like it feels threatened.
Exactly. It's about being more precise with our language.
Okay.
And recognizing that we can't really know for sure what's happening in their minds.
Right. We can observe them,
yes,
study their behavior, but we can't get inside their heads.
It's a good reminder to approach them with humility and curiosity.
Definitely.
Always be willing to learn and adapt as we understand them better.
Absolutely. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Wow, time flies.
It really does. We've explored so much about how cats feel.
We have.
Grief and mourning, jealousy and territorial behavior, even their moments of pure joy.
And through it all, we've gained a better understanding of their rich emotional lives.
We've learned that our feline companions experience a whole range of emotions.
Yeah.
And by understanding their perspective, we can build stronger, more fulfilling relationships with them.
It's about realizing they're not just pets, but sentient beings who deserve our respect, empathy, and love.
Beautifully said. Well, that concludes our exploration of the fascinating world of feline emotions.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive.
As always.
And that you'll join us next time for another adventure into the realm of knowledge and discovery.
Until then.
Keep those cuddles coming.
Yes.
And cherish those special moments with your furry friends.